Hey guys, Julie here. It's time, it is high time for an update video. Doings have been transpiring, and I want to keep you guys in the loop, let you know what's going on, what I got planned. So if you haven't noticed, intermediate is complete, whatever that means. I split these up into beginner, intermediate, and advanced, basically just randomly however I feel. Doesn't mean anything really, but for those of you who like milestones, intermediate is done, and now we're moving on to advanced. And what does that mean? Well, the beginning of advanced is going to be a very different beast from what you saw in intermediate, because what I want to do in the very beginning here is I want to teach the stuff that you're going to need in order to start 3D fundamentals. So I need to knock out the remaining topics that are required to start 3D fundamentals, and that means it's basically all math stuff, linear math and trigonometry and stuff like that. So it's going to be very different than what you saw in intermediate. Some of you might even think advanced is easier than intermediate. Stuff like linear equations, you learn that stuff in like 9th grade or 10th grade, I don't know, whatever. So, but it needs to be discussed, it needs to be taught. I need to cover this in order to, get those prerequisites out of the way so people can start 3D fundamentals if they want to. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have advanced, and it is going to be a lot of math, less talking about, C++ features or, programming, software engineering, design stuff, more just math stuff. That's going to be 4 or maybe 5, I haven't really decided yet, but 4 or 5 videos are going to be of that. And then at that point, I will announce it in the video as well, but I will say you are now ready to start 3D fundamentals if you like. So does that mean that advanced is finished? No. I will still continue with the advanced series, and then it's going to be more about programming stuff. I'm thinking I might want to teach, shared pointers, I might want to teach template metaprogramming stuff. Who knows, maybe even like a series of videos on multi-threading, stuff like that. It's going to be advanced stuff, more complex than the stuff we looked at in intermediate. But those videos, at this point, once I've finished this video and I'm at the point where people can start entering 3D fundamentals, what I'm going to do is then I am going to devote less time to making advanced videos in the C++ series. And I'm going to spend more time cranking out 3D fundamental videos. So these ones will come out at a much higher rate once I finish this video. I've mentioned this before. But the plan is to get 3D fundamentals out of the way, to finish off the last part of it. We're more than halfway done it already. And then we can start on hardware 3D, which is stuff that a lot of people have been wanting for a long time. And it's what I've basically had in mind when I started this whole series to begin with. So I definitely want to do that now. But yeah, more C++ videos will also be coming out at that point. Now, I haven't been able to get many videos out lately, you may have noticed, and I feel bad about that. I really would like to get more videos out, but it's been super crazy at work. You guys might know I switched jobs recently. Before I was working at a patent law firm doing, mostly Japanese translation of technical documents. Now I'm working at a web development company. And, I'm doing PHP backend, mostly backend development, and it's insane. I don't want to shit talk my new company too bad, but the level of technical expertise is not really the greatest in the world. I don't know, like nobody uses Git at the company. That's the first thing. That's like my baseline low. Like, do you use source control? If not, I don't know if you can really call yourself a professional. But anyways, I'm not gonna shit talk the company and the people too hard. Maybe later on in the video I'll do some more shit talking. Anyways, it's been an interesting time. I haven't had a lot of time to make videos, unfortunately, but hopefully that will be changing in the near future. Well, one thing that'll definitely be changing is we're going into Golden Week now in Japan, which is just I don't know why they call it that, but it's a week where there's a bunch of statutory holidays, and that means I'm gonna have a bunch of days off. So I'm definitely going to be recording some stuff. What am I going to be recording? Well, I'm not going to jump into advanced right away. I might record one of these, but I still got a lot of planning to do. What I'm definitely going to be recording is, first of all, I've got another 3D fundamentals video that is going to be coming out. I still got to record that, but I've done all the programming for it, and it is ready to be recorded. I just got to do a little bit of planning about how I'm going to do the video, and then I can record that stuff, edit it up, get it out. So 3D fundamentals definitely going to be coming out. Also, there's something that I've been threatening for a while, and but I haven't really made good on that threat, and that is gems, standard library gems. So I introduced you to the idea of algorithms back in the intermediate, and I showed you a couple of them. What I want to do is I want to make a series of short little videos that introduce most, if not all, of the algorithms and some other stuff from the standard library. Just some bite-sized videos with a quick introduction of what it does, why I would want it, maybe a little short example of how it's used, and that's it. Short, sweet videos, very broken down, you know, maybe one or a few algorithms per video, not a big long video with a huge laundry list of things to cover. And you can just consume those, you know, whenever you want, whichever ones you think are interesting. So, you know, gems from the standard library. I'm going to start with some basic stuff, you know, like std copy and its friends, like, you know, copy if. And you might think that's boring, but I'm going to show you some interesting little ways you can mix it up with iterator adapters that I've already covered. And I'm just going to keep going from there and covering the algorithms, and I want to record a bunch of those little bite-sized videos, throw them out every now and then here, and that should be interesting for you guys who are interested in improving your repertoire of STDs. Another thing that's a little interesting, it's not directly related to tutorials, but it's part of the Planet Chili community, is now that I've been, you know, studying and working a lot with PHP web stuff, I've dug in pretty deep into the Laravel framework, and I think I've got a lot more tools in my tool bag. I can make some interesting stuff for the community. One of the things that I've been, you know, developing in my spare time is the Patreon interface, and I did that with a command line, an interesting command line interface. So it was a website, but you would interact with it like a command line, like a Linux command line or, you know, Windows command line. And I thought that was cool, but it's also not the most user friendly, and, you know, people weren't super hype about it. So I'm probably going to replace that with just a standard, very user friendly Laravel based website interface. And I've been working a little bit in my spare time. I've been working with the Patreon API, which is terrible, has garbage documentation. But anyways, I figured out how to get the information out of it that I need, so you guys will be able to link your Patreon accounts to the website, and then you'll be able to do things like, you know, request unlocked videos with your Chili Bucks, stuff like that. You don't have to ask me and message me. You can do it automatically through the interface. So that's one thing. And but that's not it. Also, there's something that I've been wanting to implement in a while. That's the karma system. So when people, you know, answer questions in the chat, you know, in the Discord, it should be a way of, you know, giving karma. People can, you know, they accrue karma, and that gives them, you know, maybe some perks or whatever. I don't know. It's just a cool way of measuring people's contribution to the community. Not just, you know, answering questions, but also later on, I would like to get, and I've been saying this before, but I'd like to get more people into the Planet Chili wiki. And I think that might be one way of enticing people to contribute a little bit of their knowledge to the wiki, is, you know, if they would be rewarded for their contributions. So, you know, I'd like to integrate that into the chat and into the wiki, and also it'd be annoying to have to log into these different places, you know, the forum and the wiki, and you know, the Patreon or the user interface. So I'd like to be able to get a single sign-on system working. I'd hack that into all the different sites and portals, which I can now do because I know a little bit more about PHP and databases in general. So just some interesting stuff that some of you might be interested in, some of you might not be interested in, but that's what's going on there. So yeah, got a lot of stuff planned here, but to begin with, you can expect to see 3D fundamentals video, and you can expect to see a gem or two from the standard library. And then hopefully after that, I'll have all the plans done, and then we can get started on advanced. We'll see how much I can get done over my holiday in the golden week. But anyways, so now that's basically the update section of the video done. Now I thought I'd have a little bit of story time with Chili. If you're interested in my battle stories, I don't know what you'd call it. I've only been working at the company I'm working at for like maybe, well, legitimately for a month, although I've been working there a little bit longer while I was still at my old place. I'm doing this, what do you call it? Remote? I guess you call it remote. I'm working from home and, communicating with the guys over, what is it called? Microsoft Teams. It's a really shitty version of Discord or Slack, I guess. It really sucks, but anyways, that's what we got, so that's what I'm using, and it's a real shit show. It is the company, they're always behind schedule, and I mean the way they work. Let me give you one example of the workflow we have here. So we got maybe at any given time we might have 4 or 5 projects active. 4 or 5 cases, clients, or whatever you want to call them. And so we got a virtual private server, and it's got every single website from every single case on there, all under different ports. You can access the different websites. And how people work is, you might have a team of, a front-end developer guy and a back-end developer guy, maybe 2 back-end guys and 2 front-end guys working on a single project. And the way that they do that is they just edit the files over FTP. So they would copy them over locally maybe, and then they would make an edit, and then they would copy them back, which is really neat if, for example, 2 guys are trying to work on the same file, because they'll copy them over, they'll make them changes, they'll copy them back, and one of the guys' copies will overwrite the changes from the other guy, and those will be lost. They'll be lost, especially if he didn't retain a local copy. Then they're definitely gone. You're not getting that shit back. So the way you do it is in the office, I guess, from what I hear, is they just call it out. I'm going to be messing with, functions.php, and they'll be like, okay. And then you mess with it, and then you say, I'm done. Only sometimes people just forget to say that they're done, and you might be waiting on someone to let you know when it's okay to use that file, and they've actually been done with it for like, half an hour. So that's always, really productive. And it's really fun to try to merge changes in that kind of environment. And it's really fun when a bunch of people change some shit, and then it breaks the site. And you don't know what broke the site, and you don't have any way of looking through a history of changes to see when it was broken, to go back in time and find the exact point. You just stare the code down until it submits, or until you submit. Either way, I guess. Anyways, so that's just one aspect of the great working environment, of the high technical expertise, using cutting-edge tools and techniques to develop the software of tomorrow is what we're doing. But anyways, another cool thing is the fact that every site is on there, and one person changing one setting on one site will take the whole server down, and then everyone can't work. And that's always fun. It's always great, especially when all of your projects are already behind schedule, and now nobody can work. And yeah. It's definitely not the most stressful work environment I've ever been in. But anyways, I just wanted to tell you guys one little particular story from the near present that I kind of went through. We had this site. It was a tour site. So I mean, I live in Japan. It's a site for I don't know what it is, like a Buddhist temple or whatever, and they do tours. They do night tours of the cemetery. It's weird. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they got this site. It's based on WordPress, which is already like just terrible because WordPress is a garbage fire. But anyways, so they got a WordPress based site. Not uncommon at all. And then they got a custom plugin or a custom theme I don't know if it also has a plugin, but I guess it probably does. Anyways, they got a custom theme on that basically turns it from a blog, which WordPress is by default, into a tour site where you can manage tours and users can, browse tours and they can make reservations. And it also supports paying by PayPal and Stripe, I believe, credit card via Stripe. And what they want to do is they want to add the ability to pay via Alipay and the ability to pay via Apple Pay. That's what my job is. So the people who have that site, they asked the company to do that, and the guys at the company tried and they couldn't figure out how to do it. So they passed the buck on to my company. They said, well, do this for us because we don't really want to. This looks like a huge pain in the ass. And my company said, okay, we'll do it because we need the money. So then they accepted that project probably in about January, and comes around to the middle of April, and they're like, oh shit, the deadline for this is coming up in 3 days. Chili, we need you to do this in 3 days. It's not that much. You just got to add a couple of payment buttons to this website. You just got to look at the API here, add the calls in there. Should be super easy. Yeah, no problem. Except I never worked with WordPress really at all. I don't know how the fucking thing works. And then there's this custom plugin that someone made, and I have no idea how that works either. And I got to somehow figure out. This thing is weird because, I mean, now I'm going really into details that you guys probably don't want to hear about, but it works through the plugin or the theme, does the paying system through Ajax in WordPress, which is a terrible garbage fire because everything goes through one single endpoint, one single function, and then you hook a bunch of events into that, and then it calls every single one of those actions, and then in your action you just got to filter based on some global variable, some bullshit, to see whether your action should actually be doing something. And it was super hard just to figure out where in the code corresponded to the screen that I wanted to hack my buttons into. And so first I got to figure that out. And I don't have enough time to, really study WordPress and then study the plugin and figure out how it works and to do a really nice job. I got to find a quick and dirty solution and then hack that mother into the code base and ship it, because that's all the time I have. And I got people breathing down my neck. We got to get this out right now. Well, I mean, dude, you should have thought about that. You took on this freaking project in January, and now you're telling me in April that it needs to be done yesterday. And I'm like, I hate all of you. I really just, I'm not going to say I want you to die, because I don't think that, but I do kind of want something really bad to happen to you. That would just make me feel a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? It would be like, okay, there is justice in the universe. But anyways, besides that, so I figure out where I got to hack the buttons in. I do a little test. I'm able to hack something in there. And now I got to figure out how to get the payment flow working. So I got to find out how that works. I got to find all that shit again. And then I got to study it and maybe try to duplicate it. So the same flow that works for the Stripe card, I can do that for the Alipay. And then I've got to develop a test bed, test out the Alipay flow, see if that works, and then move that into my hacked in code base, and then test it, and then find out all the different problems and the reasons why things aren't working, and get that out. And finally I got Alipay working. Great. Now that I've done this once, it should be easy to do it again, right? I can just replicate what I did for Apple Pay. No, because Apple is, as you may have heard me say before, it is the devil. It is a garbage company. And the number of hurdles that they throw in the developer's way is amazing. It's really, I don't know, it just, it takes your breath away. You gotta stand back and say, I gotta give it to you guys. You really know how to just fuck people over. And so, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Apple Pay. So, I mean, first of all, you need a Mac to develop this stuff. That's just a given. If you want to develop Apple, you have to do it the Apple way. Otherwise, get effed, mate. So, fine. And I'm like, well, I don't have a Mac. Do you guys have a Mac for me? And they're like, nah. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I will use VMware and download a image of High Sierra and try to get that working. And I spent a bunch of time getting the High Sierra image working, logged in, created an Apple ID. Cool beans. Time to test my my Apple Pay code. Well, no, that doesn't work because you need a phone too. Obviously, Apple Pay uses the fingerprint detection on the phone, so you have to have an Apple phone or something with a fingerprint detection device in it. So cool. I guess that was just a big waste of time because I still need a Apple phone. I don't have a phone. Okay, definitely not buying an iPhone ever. Hate that shit. So what'd I do? Well, you got a phone for me to use? Nah, not really. No, we don't got a phone for you. We got phones. We don't really want to loan you our phone, and we don't want to, provide the tools that you need to develop and test the thing that we need you to build. So cool. Well, borrow your girlfriend's phone and use that. By the way, my girlfriend works at the company. She was there before me. She introduced me to the owner of the company. So I guess, this is your fault. That's what I'm saying. If she's watching this, which she isn't, and also she doesn't really speak English that well, so it's all good. So anyways, use her phone, test stuff out. Lots of problems, figure out the problems, get it to the point where I can bring up the screen where you can pay. All you got to do is put your fingerprint there and then you pay. The only problem is, things like PayPal, things like Amazon Pay, they provide you with a sandbox that allows you to test with a fake account so that you don't have to risk making mistakes and putting big charges on real credit cards. You have sandbox accounts, you test in sandbox mode, you make sure your application is working before you do maybe one final test in live mode just to make sure. And Apple also has that, only you've got to join the Apple Developer Program, and that costs $100 because Apple, right? Because fuck you. We're Apple, and we don't care about users or developers. We just care about making that green, making those fat stacks of paper. So anyways, cool beans. So I'm not going to put a real charge on my girlfriend's credit card to test this application for my company. I say, company, maybe you could hook me up with a, probably be good if we had an Apple developer account to do Apple development with. And they're like, nah, we don't really want to spend that money. Can't you just do something about it? Just make the problem go away, Chili? That's what we would really like you to do. And so I'm like, okay, well, here's the deal. I tested it. I got it to the point where you can check your fingerprint on there. And I tested it with my girlfriend's, her phone with her one card that works on there. And that's all I can do. So here it is. You guys can, figure it out. And they're like, okay. And the guy who was in charge of the thing, he said, okay, well, I'm going to talk to the client. I'm going to tell him that. He gives it to the client, and then like a day later, they're like, we're going live. And then there's a whole bunch of shit there because they couldn't get it to go live because they forgot about a bunch of bullshit that they got to do that I already told them they needed to do. So I got that done. They got it live, and they're like, okay, it's done. Great. About a week later, get a emergency call about the end client is pissed off that the Apple Pay isn't working. It's messed up, and people's cards, they think they're getting charged, but it's not getting charged. And well, we gotta fix this. So what the hell is going on? And I'm like, dudes, what the fuck? So I take a look at it for them. I look at the account where you can see your records of your test payments and stuff like that. And lo and behold, no one did any test after that, of course. They just put it live. After I expressly told them, dudes, I couldn't test this past, just making sure that the screen popped up. I couldn't actually do a test charge. So, that's probably going to be a problem. They're like, no, we'll just ship it, put it live. We'll just have the customers test it with their own live credit cards. And now it's a whole shit show, and the client is pissed off, and the end client is pissed off. And there are people are like looking at me like, well, what did you do? And I'm like, you fucking assholes. You gave me like, originally they wanted me to do this in 2 days. In reality, it took me like 4 days. And in real reality, it should have been like at least a week for someone who already knows something about WordPress. And for someone who doesn't know shit about WordPress, it should be a little bit longer than that. But anyways, I'm like, dudes, I told you guys, give me an Apple developer account. You guys couldn't get me an SSL certificate to test this when I needed it. Had to go through a whole spiel just to get that. And then you couldn't get me a device and a card. I had to borrow my girlfriend's. And then I told you I'm not going to freaking do a real charge on this with my girlfriend's credit card. And you guys were like, okay, that's fine. We'll just tell the client. And now it comes to this. And now you guys are crying to me. And I'm like, no. It's now the weekend, and I am not going to solve this problem for you until Tuesday, which is the day that that's the day I come back. And you know what? You guys figure it out. You figure it out your goddamn selves, which they won't. I think they just gave up from what I've seen, and they're just going to wait for me to come back to make it go away. And I think they finally managed to come up with an Apple developer account so I can properly test the software. And I'm like, well, you assholes, why didn't you just get that in the first place? You would have saved me so much trouble, so much extra effort, and you also would not have pissed off the customer. But anyways, so that's my life. That's just one little episode from many. And I thought maybe you guys would be interested in that. But if not, that's fine too. Anyways, so more videos coming soon, because although my work is still incredibly crazy, I have some days off for holidays, and although my work would like me to work during those days, they can get fucked. So, making some videos. Hopefully you guys will be able to see those soon. And, you know, thanks for all the support. Thanks for sticking with the Planet Chili, program and hanging out in the community. And I will see you soon with some more C++.